Tomorrow morning, you're going to walk into a small private room. You'll close the door, sit down, use water, paper, soap, maybe a fan, maybe a phone. Then you'll press one button and everything your body just produced will disappear into a hidden system of pipes beneath your floor. You won't see it again. You won't smell it again. You probably won't think about it again. But for almost all of human history, that room did not exist. There was no toilet, no paper, no plumbing, no door, no privacy, and for hundreds of thousands of years, every single human being had to solve the same humiliating problem in a world full of predators, parasites, freezing nights, crowded camps, and no clean way to make waste vanish. So how did ancient humans actually use the bathroom? The answer is much stranger than just they went outside. Because the history of the bathroom is really the history of something much bigger. It is the story of how humans learned to separate the body from the home, the clean from the dirty, the private from the public, and life from disease. Let's start before cities, before houses, before farming, before anyone had ever built anything that could be called a toilet. For early humans, the bathroom was not a room. It was a decision. Where you went mattered. Too close to camp, and the smell attracted insects. Too close to water, and the group could get sick. Too far away and you were alone. And being alone in the ancient world was never safe. This is the part modern people forget. Using the bathroom used to make you vulnerable. For a few minutes, you could not run properly. You could not defend yourself properly. You were distracted, exposed, and separated from the group. In daylight, that was uncomfortable. At night, it could be fatal. A leopard did not care that you needed privacy. A hyena did not wait for you to finish. So ancient humans probably did what humans always do when something is dangerous. They turned it into a habit. You went away from the sleeping area. You avoided the place where people collected water. You chose a spot downwind when you could. You did it quickly, and then you came back. There were no written rules, but there did not need to be. Because the rule was carved into the body. Disgust. That feeling you get when something smells rotten, dirty, or contaminated is not just a modern social preference. Researchers describe disgust as part of a disease avoidance system that helps humans stay away from things that may carry pathogens. In other words, long before humans understood germs, the body already knew something was wrong. Bad smell meant danger. Flies meant danger. Waste near food meant danger. You didn't need a microscope to learn that. You just needed enough people to get sick. But in small moving groups, waste was easier to escape. Hunter-gatherers moved through landscapes. They did not usually stay in one crowded place for years. The ground, the sun, insects, rain, and time did most of the work. Human waste was unpleasant, but it was not yet an engineering problem. Then everything changed. Humans stopped moving. They began to farm. They built villages. They kept animals. They stored grain. They slept beside the same walls every night. And suddenly the bathroom became one of the biggest problems civilization had ever created, because when people settle down, waste settles down with them. One of the clearest examples comes from Çatalhöyük, an early farming village in what is now Turkey. It was founded around 7,100 BC, thousands of years before modern toilets, and it was one of the largest and most densely populated settlements of its time. Researchers studying preserved human feces from the site found evidence of intestinal parasite infection, including whipworm eggs. And here's the disturbing part. The people of Çatalhöyük probably did not have toilet. Researchers think they either went to a rubbish area called a midden or carried their waste from houses to the midden in a basket or vessel. Think about that. A whole village, thousands of people over generations, living, cooking, sleeping, raising children. And somewhere nearby, human waste was collecting with the trash. To us, that sounds horrifying. But to them, the categories of clean and dirty were not the same as ours. One researcher who studied the site noted that human waste being found close to where people lived shows they had very different ideas of cleanliness than modern people. And this is where the story becomes darker. The bathroom was not just about embarrassment, it was about survival. Whipworm spreads when food or water becomes contaminated by human feces. Heavy infection can cause diarrhea, anemia, stunted growth, and other serious health problems. So the first bathroom problem was not privacy, it was distance. How far could you move human waste from human life? That question shaped villages, then towns, then cities, and eventually entire civilizations. The first toilets were not invented because people wanted comfort. They were invented because people were running out of safe places to go. In Mesopotamia, toilets and drainage systems appeared by the 4th millennium BC, thousands of years after places like Çatalhöyük had already flourished without them. Some ancient toilets were simple: a hole, a pit, a brick seat, a drain, nothing like the smooth porcelain object in your house. but the idea was revolutionary. For the first time, the waste did not stay where the body left it. It moved. That was the beginning of the bathroom as technology. And once humans discovered that waste could be moved, the entire relationship between the body and the home changed. In Neolithic Orkney, at settlements like Skara Brae around 3200 BC, some houses had channels running through small side rooms and into larger communal drains. Historians have suggested these may have worked as early toilets, with water carrying waste away. Imagine living 5,000 years ago inside a stone house on a cold island off Scotland. Outside, wind cuts across the landscape. The sea is nearby. There is no electricity, no metal pipework, no modern sewage plant. But inside the house, someone has already understood the basic idea behind the toilet. Put the waste in one place, let water take it somewhere else. That simple idea would become one of the most important inventions in human history. But not every civilization solved the problem the same way. In the Indus Valley, in cities like Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and Lothal, sanitation became part of urban design. Some houses had bathing areas, drains, soak pits, and waste channels connected to larger drainage systems. Harappa.com notes that almost every house unit at Mohenjo-Daro had a private bathing area with drains carrying dirty water into larger drains. This was not just convenience, this was planning. A city is basically thousands of bodies living too close together. Everybody eats, everybody drinks, everybody produces waste. If that waste is not controlled, the city becomes a machine for spreading disease. So the ancient bathroom became one of civilization's quiet foundations. Not temples, not palaces, not armies, drains, pits, channels, places nobody wanted to talk about, but everyone depended on. And then there was the other question. How did people clean themselves? This is where the answer becomes messy, because ancient people did not all do one thing. They used what their environment gave them: water, leaves, grass, moss, stones, shells, scrapers, cloth, if they had it. In later ancient societies, the solutions became more recognizable and sometimes more uncomfortable. Romans are often associated with public latrines and a tool called the xylospongium, or sponge on a stick, though scholars still debate exactly how it was used. It has traditionally been interpreted as a cleaning tool in Roman toilets, but some research suggests it may have been more like a toilet brush. Either way, one thing is clear. The modern idea of the bathroom as a silent, private, personal space is extremely new. For many ancient people, using the bathroom could be public, shared, smelly, social. In some Roman public latrines, people sat side by side. No stalls, no locked doors, just rows of bodies doing something modern people are trained to hide. And that tells us something important. Privacy is not just natural, privacy is cultural. Your body has always needed to remove waste, but the shame around it changed with architecture. The moment humans built walls around the act became something hidden. Before that, it was just part of being alive. Ancient humans were not dirtier because they were less intelligent. They were living inside a different problem. A moving hunter-gatherer camp did not need a sewer. A farming village did. A dense city needed one desperately. The toilet was not invented in one moment by one genius. It emerged slowly, wherever human waste became too dangerous to ignore. First, you moved away from camp, then you used a midden, then a pit, then a drain, then a sewer, then a private room, then a button. And now, the most ancient and vulnerable thing your body does has been hidden so completely that you almost never think about it. That is the strange miracle of the modern bathroom. It makes part of being human disappear. But ancient people could not make it disappear. They had to smell it, carry it, avoid it, plan around it, get sick from it, build around it. And slowly, over thousands of years, they learned that civilization is not only built by kings, warriors, and monuments, it is also built by the places people go when nobody wants to look. Because the story of the bathroom is not really about waste. It is about the line humans drew between themselves and contamination, between the home and the body, between shame and survival. You press a button, the water spins, everything vanishes. And for 1 second, you are using the final version of a problem your ancestors spent hundreds of thousands of years trying to solve. They did not have privacy. They did not have plumbing. They did not have a room at the end of the hall. They had distance, instinct, firelight, cold ground, and the hope that whatever they left behind would not come back to kill them.